So this is just a quick update at the end of the 2024 trade deadline. Sorry, not end of season, probably made sound like. But so the last update was just about 2 weeks ago at the All-Star break. Just wanted to give an update on the trade deadline. I did end up making one big trade. I made one small trade that was more like minor leaguer thing, but the one that actually matters is this one right here, which I'll take you through. Baltimore received Gio Urshela from the Yankees. And these are the three guys that gave up. So kind of to first, the main guy was Max Alba, who nearly every team that I went through and talked trades with, he was a guy who kept coming up. He came over from the Dodgers in the Corey Seager trade. He was the other guy I got back in the Seager for Correa trade, and he was in AAA for me, but thrown out of the back end of the bullpen and doing well. And he'd been up for me a couple times. He was on the 40 man. He'd thrown in 9 games, 11 innings, with a 2.66 FIP this season. And the Yankees saw him as somebody to come in and go right into their rotation. He went in, and his first start, he messed up his rotator cuff and is out for a month. But so this was the guy they really wanted. And they see him as somebody who can jump around into the rotation. For me, he was kind of in that long relief shuttle to AAA for me when I needed a fresh arm. Kind of like Grayson Rodriguez does for me as the main guy, and I think he could have worked his way into my plans over maybe next season and things like that. But I have other guys who I felt like were ahead of him in the depth chart, and I think he'll be a solid major league player for the Yankees for a few years maybe, but I don't think he's going to turn into an ace or anything. So I was willing to give him up to get Urshela. So that was the main guy, and then Kenny Baez is just a 21-year-old strong defensive catcher who was having a decent offensive season in A ball. Had a really good offensive season last year in low A ball, but my scout doesn't think much of him as I mean, maybe if he grew a little bit, and with his defense carrying him, he could become like a backup catcher, but I don't see a lot happening there. I was okay giving him up. And then Michael Byrne is just a solid, like, kind of 4A player. He pitched in Norfolk for me the last 2 years and was good, but he's 27, and I have younger guys who are just more important than him, but certainly could be used in a major league role and probably be okay. So then Gio Urshela, third baseman, which we'll get into the ripple effects on the roster for that, but he's kind of played part-time role for the Yankees, 90, 92, 121, and then this year it started 92 games, which is a good bit at this point in the season. But, every year was really good in part-time duty, 3.1, 3.7. He put up 4 WAR already this season in 92 games with a 153 runs created plus, and as you can see, 139 and 130. So he's been really good, but he wanted out of New York. So they were willing to deal with him. He was really unhappy. He was, for some reason, down towards the bottom of their lineup. Not really sure what was going on there. So the one thing that I don't love is he's under contract next season, and I would have preferred not to have tied up money in him. So I did end up getting the Yankees to take 35% of his deal. So I'm not on the hook for that full $13.3 million next year. We'll see what I do with him next year. Definitely in for the clutch run this year. The stretch run, I should say, I guess. So what that does is with Edman at second most of the time and Urshela at third, Rylan Bannon, who's been my second baseman most of the last few years, and Nick Matan, who's been my starting third baseman for the last 3 years, are both on the bench. They'll both play, as you can see here. I have them getting in the lineup different spots here. Matan at DH sometimes, so they'll get in the lineup at different times. They're just not starters, but they'll play a couple, 2 to 3 times a week each, I think. So, Nick Matan got MVP votes in his rookie season, 2022, won Rookie of the Year, 6.9 WAR. Last year put up a respectable 3.5 with only a 101 runs created plus. And then this year, while he had heated up in July, so I thought about not making this deal, I just didn't want to risk it. 0.5 WAR and a 76 runs created plus in 85 starts, 386 plate appearances. This is a big year for the team. We're loaded up, and we just, despite Matan's track record, I saw somebody who was arguably as good, and probably better than him, even if they're both playing at the top of their game, and that's why I made this deal. So I feel like my bench is super strong now, and while I don't like Maton was kind of one of my favorite guys because I traded for him as kind of an unheralded prospect and he grew into a rookie of the year, but had to do it here. Urshela is going to hit third and hit right in the middle of the order and hopefully be a big bat here to bring this team to life because the kind of an uneven start since the All-Star break, start to the second half. But still in the race, 56 and 53, 5.5 back, but in fourth place, which is probably the toughest part of that. And then, as you can see, the Yankees have just gone on a run, 9-1. They've won 9 in a row, and their July was just crazy good, 19-6 and a 17-9 June. But they felt like they could deal Urshela because why is that Urshela? I don't know. Because they had Andujar, so Andujar can do that, and then they're able to do other things with their lineup, I guess, where they felt comfortable getting him out of there, especially since he was a grump and causing problems for him. So, as you could see, 56 and 53, but Pythagorean wins should have 61. We're 5 below, mainly because we're 9 and 22 in one-run games and 7 and 10 extra inning games. The one-run game record and the fact that my team is finally healthy, I'm feeling good about the team. I think I've got the horses to do it. Will they pull it off? Who knows? But I've got the horses, and this team is much better than they performed so far, and actually perform better than the results have shown. As you can see with that Pythagorean win total, and then I didn't make a trade for a bullpen because the prices were just crazy high. I thought about trading for a bullpen arm. I was willing to include a top 100 prospect in some of the deals, but it was like there was one deal with the Indians for like their setup guy. They wanted a top 100 prospect, 2 more decent prospects, and then like a player off my active roster. And that was kind of how the deals were with any bullpen arm I was interested in that I felt like was an upgrade or wasn't on a crazy contract. So didn't upgrade the bullpen, but the bullpen really coming in the season was maybe the strength of the club and arguably the best in baseball, but it's been the weakness of the club, as you can see with the 11th in the AL in ERA, the 4.01 ERA behind the starters who are first in the AL. So hopefully Urshela will help us get over the hump here. Need to go on a run though. We've been kind of 2 games and then 4 games and 3 games over 500 the last 3 months, which is fine, but we need to go on a run given our slow start to get back towards the top of the AL East, and I think I've got the team to do it for sure. We'll see what happens. So I'll give another update probably before the end of the season. If not, then definitely at the end of the regular season. But the headline is Gio Urshela is an Oriole.